Thank you for joining us today in our first 30-minute no-cost webinar in 2014. Today's topic is How to Boost Sales This Quarter, presented by Jim Ball of Square One Sales and Marketing. My name is Ryan Kauf, and I will be your host today. I direct the Wisconsin Small Business Development Center at UW Green Bay. The Small Business Development Center, or SBDC, at UW Green Bay is part of a statewide network of SBDCs working with small business owners and executives to facilitate growth and improvement and to launch successful new companies. Through no-cost business consulting and low-cost entrepreneurial education, SBDC experts serve as your business resource. The Wisconsin SBDC is funded in part through a cooperative agreement with the U.S. Small Business Administration, or SBA. Our website is www.uwgb.edu/SBDC. Also joining us today is Michael Wentworth from TMR Associates. In June, he presented the How to Improve Cold Calling Efficiency and Results webinar. And in March, he will present How to Find and Engage New Customers. His June webinar, as well as all of our past webinars, are posted on YouTube and are also located on our website under Past Webinars. Our 2014 Secrets to Success webinar series is designed to help small business owners and executives increase their effectiveness and thus their financial success. At the conclusion of this webinar, we will provide the upcoming webinar topics, and we encourage you to consider registering for those on our website. I would like to thank our partner for last year's and this year's Secrets to Success webinar series, First Business. Thank you, Mickey and Tim, and First Business, for your continued dedication to small business success. During the webinar, we invite you to ask questions at any time. Please use the menu at the right of your screen, and you may type your question there and press Enter to submit it. We will also take questions at the end for a few minutes. And now I am pleased to turn it over to our expert presenter this month, Jim Ball of Square One Sales and Marketing. Jim?
Hey, Ryan. Thanks a lot for having me again. It's always an honor to be asked back. As a former referee, I'm not usually asked to come back anywhere. But I'm very glad to do the second part of a series that we hope to be doing here, and want to thank you guys over at the Small Business Development Center at the UWGB Small Business and the UWGB Small Business folks for giving us a chance to help these people see a little bit, and those folks who have signed up for the webinar, to see how we can help them solve some of their problems. And so without any further ado, again, Ryan, thanks a lot, and I'll get right into it here. A little bit about me first. Again, my name is Jim Ball. I help clients improve gross margins on the revenue side, basically, and have been doing it since 1996. I'm based in Green Bay and have very, very much enjoyed working in the sales and marketing part of the business world. Let's go to the next slide. Today, what you're here to talk about and here to listen to today is a turbo sales. And that's you want to increase sales productivity and output. That's what we've asked you to come and listen to. So you want to learn how that happens. Some of the things you're going to hear today, you may have heard before, probably have heard before, but we all need to be reminded of the basics. And what I want to emphasize right now is we all tend to move toward complexity when simple works best. If there's one thing you can take away from this that I'd really like to have you keep at the top of mind, it's that statement. We all tend to move toward complexity when simple works best. Let's keep it simple, and you'll find that you can have an immediate impact on sales because they're right underneath your nose. Next slide. What's the first step to increasing sales this quarter? Talk to your customers. Talk to your current customers. Can't emphasize that enough. On my website at www.squareonejb.com, you'll see these three words: protect, penetrate, and prospect. Those are the 3 P's of profitable sales. And the first step is to protect. It begins with your current customers. Now, how many of us take their current customers for granted? I feel like Bill Murray in Stripes saying, come on, you know, who cried? That old yeller. Everybody hold up your hands. So hold up your hands. You know, we can't see them. If you really aren't talking deeply to your current customer, it's really the same question. Our tendency is to hunt for new sales, but new sales come come easiest from our current customers. Next slide. You'll see when you we need you. Why do you need to talk to your customers? Don't know if you guys remember this commercial from several years ago, but it's a sales manager talking to a group of salesmen, and what he says is, I got a phone call this morning from one of our oldest customers. He fired us. After 20 years, he fired us. Said he didn't know us anymore. We used to do business with a handshake, face to face. And then he walks out and basically he has a plane ticket in his hand. He says, I've got to go talk to an old friend. And really, we want you to think about talking to your customers. Now, you may say, well, I talk to them. I talk to them every day. Well, that's not what we're talking about. Let's go to the next slide, and I can tell you a little bit of a story here about something that happened to me in my world. Early on, after I had begun my career as Square One, I had a lot of work in the printing industry and was really lucky to hook up with DuPont. DuPont is a Fortune 100 company international, and they had some issues with Tyvek, which was in their graphics department. Not the Tyvek you see outside the houses everywhere, but the Tyvek that if you've ever bought a mattress, it says, please do not remove under penalty of law. Those kinds of tags. It was a durable tag. And Tyvek, it had been a cash cow in that marketplace for a long time, but its market share was eroding. They couldn't figure out what was going on, and they brought me in to see what they could do. So what we did was, well, we talked to their customers. But I didn't just talk to the people who were signing the POs. I didn't just talk to the people who were making the final decision on what product to get. Next slide. What I did was I talked right to the people that were using their product. I talked to the guys on the print shop floor. And I found out, and I went north, south, east, and west. We talked to these guys that were running the printing press, and they basically said, keep Tyvek away from us. Why? Because it was rough. It was hard. It was a process. It had fulfilled the need for a durable tag, but as technology advanced, it didn't run through the machine as smoothly as some of the competition did. So we got that. We got the specs, went back to DuPont and said, look, if you guys don't re-engineer this product, you're going to get your butt kicked worse than it already is. So we used those specs, did an international sales rollout, and the product, Brilliant, is still garnering, 15 years later, a pretty good market share. Now, that happened from talking to your customers. That's what's going to happen when you do that. So the first step here, the first step in turbo sales, the first step in increasing your sales quickly is talk to your current customers and deep dive. Next slide. Next step is to ask for referrals. Contact past or dormant customers. And there's gold in them there hills, folks. Again, how many of you have an active referral process? This is something that really needs to be a part of every sales organization. Let's go to the next slide. Regarding referrals, I'm not going to talk deeply about how to, because Bill Foch, who was a member of the fall group of webinars, has a wonderful webinar on open book coaching. Most of your customers, as Bill says, will enthusiastically refer you if you call them and you ask them. Now, I recommend very highly you go back into the archives of this group of seminars that the Small Business Center is putting on, and pull out that Bill Foch webinar. That's your homework. Check that out, because what he's saying about referrals, it just can't be topped. So check out the webinar. We'll go to the next slide. And the thing to recall, or thing to know about calling past and dormant customers, that you're going to be going into a new situation. You're going to be getting new contacts. You're going to be talking to new decision makers. And really, they've been waiting for your call. With all honest to goodness, with all of the noise today, we're all faced with it. Now more than ever, with social media, the Twitters, the tweets, the Facebook, the Pinterest, all of these things that are making so much noise out there. People want to work with people they can trust. Referring business is more important than ever. So when you're talking to your customers, when you're deep diving to your number one customers, and when you're talking to them, talk to them about referrals in addition to their own issues. That's going to be the best way for you to increase sales quickly. Simple, folks, blocking and tackling. Call past customers and get referrals. Okay, now we're going to go to the most important part of this whole thing, and that's step number 3. And that's increase the productivity of your sales team. Now, all of what I'm saying to you right now, calling past customers and deep diving, getting a good referral process going, all of that is going to be moot unless you increase sales productivity. Number 1 and number 2 that you've seen today can work on the short term, but not for long. Why? Let's find out. Take a look at this slide. And I'm going to give you 5 seconds here of silence. See how comfortable we are with silence. Which one looks like your sales process? Okay, let's get this straight. Sales is a high-performance machine that too often gets weighed down by internal roadblocks. Let me show you what I mean by that. Next slide. Good and great salespeople are good at relationship building. They're very good at relationship building. So don't expect them to be something they're not. You cannot make a wide receiver into a nose tackle. Why would you? Yet, most businesses have their salespeople doing things they're just not good at. Stop that. Find out what sales, find out who your people are, and give them the things that they're best doing. Next slide. These are some of the tasks, some of the reasons that our sales reps get caught up and get lost. We have too much paperwork. Internal meetings, CRMs, they're all bogged down with that kind of thing. So what you've got to do is you've got to remove those from their day-to-day work. Find a way to free your sales reps from all but the most vital work. And there are a couple of terms here might be helpful. You've got hunters and farmers. Hunters are not farmers, and farmers are not hunters. Let's remember that. Okay, next slide. Here's some easy ways to remove the productivity killers. Number 1, you can redefine what a salesperson does. You must do that. What should they not do? Don't get them tied up in too many internal meetings. Don't be giving them too many tasks that are not related to what you're intending them to do. Don't get them bogged down in administrative, in CRMs. Too much paperwork, product management, all of those things are better handled by people that are not doing the hunting. And when I'm referring to sales people right now, I'm referring to the hunter. The farmer is someone who can take that relationship, manage that relationship, and work closely with the hunter, obviously, to keep the relationship going. But the hunter is out there seeking. Make sure that that's what the hunter does, and make sure that the farmer does what the farmer does. Next slide. There's no reason you can't change a moving tire. You can't change a tire on a moving vehicle here. You can do all of these things at once. So how do we grow sales productivity? Focus their activity and energy. By there I mean the sales reps. What should they do? They need to make phone calls. They need to make sales presentations. They need to prepare proposals, and they need to close deals. Now, when you get them doing that, you'll be unleashing the hounds. Now, when encouraging companies to unleash the hounds, we invariably get asked this question: How do we capture valuable sales information if the sales reps are completely free from quote-unquote reporting? The next slide should help us answer that question. No matter what we do, folks, we have to measure and we have to report. And the reps are not free from this task. You don't free them completely, but you really have to say, here's what you do, here's what you don't do. There must be some form of measurement in everything we do. These metrics that you see here, they're good and simple, but feel free to develop your own. But again, remember, don't complicate things. This isn't too complicated, but you do have to capture this kind of information. Keep those metrics simple. There also is some basic information about customers that has to be tracked: contact name, address, contact information, etc. Only the sales rep has that information. And what you need to do is to find out what information is need to have, put that in capital letters, need to have information. And you also have to find out what is nice to have information. Get the rep to work with his or her customer service reps so they can work together on that. But again, clearly delineate. There's going to be interrelationship. Don't compromise on what information to capture, but focus on the quantity and the quality. There's always, and there's human relationships here. We're not machines. So you're always going to have interaction that may or may not cause angst. He didn't do this, she didn't do that, but you're going to really minimize that by having a clear line of demarcation of where the hunter hands the ball off to the farmer. The most productive and profitable, successful salespeople that I've worked with have this part of the equation down pat. Honest to goodness, folks, this is really where the rubber meets the road ultimately. Let's go to the next slide. So in conclusion, we're going to get you done here a little bit quicker so you can ask questions. Number one, talk to your current customers. Deep dive. Don't just talk to the people signing the PO. Don't just talk to the people who are going to make that final decision. Talk to the people who are using your service, who have good impact and give you great feedback. That's number one. You're going to discover all kinds of sales there. Number two, ask for referrals, contact past or dormant customers, and as I said, check out Bill Foch's webinar through the Business Center here about referring and putting together a really good referral program. Those are two things you can do. But remember, if you do 1 and 2, just to get that turbo sales going that quarter, you're not really going to be able to maintain that for any length of time unless you increase the productivity of your sales team. If you want turbo sales to have legs, you must work to increase productivity by a clear defining of the roles of hunter and farmer. So there you are. I'll take questions.
All right, Jim, I've got a couple of questions that have come in.
Okay, go ahead.
The first one is, should I do this myself or hire someone to do these calls to the customers and things?
The short answer is, again, if you go back down to number 3 with your productivity, the sales reps should be doing that, but it should be doing in a way in which they're measured. You can't just let that go. So the quick answer is get your sales reps out there. They should be doing that as part of their normal activity.
Very good. And how do I approach a customer we lost to a competitor?
You know, I'm gonna give you a little bit of a story here. I mentioned earlier that I'm a referee, and one of the great I was a referee. I don't do it anymore, but I did it for about 35 years, basketball and football. One of the greatest lessons that I learned as a referee can best be described in this scenario. In basketball, there's a lot of decisions you have to make. Boom, 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 boom. Comes back and forth. And you're going to miss some. You're not going to get them all. So when you're talking about a customer that you've lost, this really fits well. If I potentially missed a call and a coach is all over me and I come past him and I say, Coach, I'm sorry, I might have missed that one. Guess what? it's over. He's off my back. He doesn't bother me. He coaches and I ref. Now, what does that mean in terms of how to approach a customer that you've lost? I think you just go hat in your hand and say, I know that we used to work with you. We'd love to be able to learn how we can improve things. That's how I would do it, is I would go in. Don't be afraid. They're not going to bite off your head. They'll probably be happy to see you because they were customers of yours for a while. Don't be afraid, number one. But number two, go in and make it a learning process. We'd like to know what we did wrong, or that's the way I do it. And then I think that'll open the door to a natural referral right from there. I hope that helps.
And then we've got another question here about how do we make this happen if none of my people have time? Myself, I don't have time, and my sales reps are really busy. How do we fit this in?
You know, it's every time we do a webinar, we get that question, and with small businesses and with large businesses. But the whole thing of time is there's 24 hours in a day, and you have to prioritize. The things that I've just told you here today are vital. That's the lifeblood of your sales. If you're not having time to call customers, if you're not having time to get referrals, you have to find that time some way, shape, or form. Either you're doing too much, you're having people do the wrong things, or you haven't really, and believe me, I'm a small businessman myself, so I understand how time can get away. So I don't mean to accuse the person who's asking this question that they're not trying to do everything they possibly can, but this really is this is sales, and this is what you need is revenue. You need revenue that's profitable, and the best, most profitable revenue you can get is talking to your current customers and talking to your referrals. Those are your first two steps with sales. Those should be always your first two steps. If you're doing just pure hunting, going after prospects, that should be, you need to reverse the way you do that in terms of allotting time. Your time should be spent on current customers, referrals, and then hunting and prospecting. Got to do all three, but 1 and 2 have to take priority over 3. Hope that helps.
Jim, that's all the questions we've got from everybody. Unless anybody's got some more questions, we'll still we'll wait for a few seconds here and take a few extra questions. But maybe you want to just.
Don't get one, I want to thank you all for your time.
All right, Ryan. I think that pretty much wraps it up.
All right, Michael. Thank you, Jim. Thank you very much again. Another great presentation from you, full of sales wisdom. And I will say that Jim, your 2 webinars you've done for us, and Michael, yours, and the one that's the theme coming up, and Bill Foch, who did one for us a few months back and will be coming back again. Those are lifeblood type sales presentations. So, gentlemen, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you bet. Our next webinar next month in February is going to feature Joe Simon. He's an achievement coach at Great to Greatest, and he's going to present on how to own your calendar, which is perfect timing in keeping with your New Year's resolution. And then in March, Michael, you're up. Michael's the founder and president of TMR Associates, and he's going to teach us how to find and engage new customers. And again, you will not want to miss these. So with these, you can register on our website at uwgb.edu/SBDC. And again, I'd like to thank Jim Ball, Michael Wentworth of TMR Associates, and First Business for being our partner in these webinars. And thank you all for attending. Shortly, you will receive in your email inbox a recording to the link of this webinar. And please share it, pass it on. Enjoy the rest of your day, and go boost your sales. Thank you.